Picture this. You are sitting at a restaurant and the person across the table just ordered the most expensive bottle of wine on the menu, $320, without hesitation, without even glancing at the price. They are wearing a $1,200 watch, driving a car that costs more per month than most people's rent, and they're talking to you about how they're building wealth and thinking long-term. Now, here's the question that should stop you cold. What if that person has less actual money saved than you do? What if the watch is on a credit card, the car is a 7-year loan, and the wine is going on a balance that has been sitting at 22% interest for 3 months? What if the most visible sign of financial success in that room is also the clearest signal of financial destruction? Here's what most people never realize. The people who are quietly becoming wealthy, the ones who are actually building something real, are often the ones you would never guess by looking at them. They drive unremarkable cars. They live in houses that do not make their neighbors jealous. They wear clothes that are clean and functional, not branded and expensive. They are invisible to the status game, and that invisibility is not a limitation, it's their strategy. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why looking poor is one of the most powerful financial moves available to you, why the pressure to look wealthy is actively costing you a future you have not built yet, and what it means to make a different choice starting today. Here's the central idea that will change how you see every purchase you make from this point forward, and it's called the wealth signal inversion. Most people believe that visible spending signals wealth. A new car means success. A designer bag means you have arrived. A luxury apartment means you are winning. But the reality works in almost the exact opposite direction. The more aggressively you signal wealth through visible consumption, the less actual wealth you are likely to be building underneath that signal. Here's how it works at the mechanical level. Every dollar you spend on something visible, on status, on image, on the impression you make on strangers, is a dollar that does not compound for you over time, and compounding is the only engine that creates real, lasting financial independence. A dollar invested at 8% annual returns becomes $2.16 in 10 years. A dollar spent on a status purchase becomes $0 permanently. What makes this concept genuinely counterintuitive for you is the social layer on top of the financial layer. You are not just spending money when you buy status, you're responding to a signal that other people are sending you. When someone pulls up in a $90,000 car, you receive a message that says, "This person is successful." And because you want to be perceived as successful, you respond to that message by trying to send the same signal back. But here's where it gets interesting for you. The person driving that $90,000 car might be doing so because someone else's $70,000 car made them feel inadequate 2 years ago. The whole system is a chain of people spending money they haven't fully secured, trying to impress people who are doing the same thing. The data behind this is not subtle. A 2022 analysis of Federal Reserve household finance data found that households in the top 20% of visible luxury spending, clothing, cars, dining, carried median investment account balances nearly 40% lower than households with equivalent incomes who did not display those consumption patterns. The spending was real, the wealth was not. In your daily life, this concept shows up every time you feel the pull to upgrade something visible before upgrading something invisible. Invisible is your savings rate, your investment balance, your emergency fund, your debt payoff timeline. Visible is your car, your clothes, your phone, your vacation photos. The wealth signal inversion says that every time you choose visible over invisible, you are trading actual security for the appearance of security. And at some point, that trade stops being neutral and starts being dangerous. Rule 1. Redefine who you are trying to impress. The first thing you need to understand is that the audience for your financial decisions is not who you think it is. When you spend money on visible things, you are performing for people who are at best mildly interested for about 15 seconds and who are simultaneously performing for you. Nobody is watching your financial life as carefully as you are watching your financial life, and that asymmetry is something you can use. Here's the mechanism. Human beings evolved in small tribes where status signaling genuinely mattered because the social hierarchy was stable and visible. If you looked successful in a village of 150 people who knew you, that signal had real value.
But you are not living in a village of 150 people. You are living in a city scrolling through feeds of thousands, where the people whose approval you are subconsciously seeking will forget your car within 48 hours and your outfit within minutes. The emotional cost of their judgment is real to you, but the judgment itself barely exists. A practical example. If you earn $75,000 per year and spend $600 per month on a car payment, instead of driving a reliable $12,000 used car with no payment, you are spending $7,200 per year to impress people who do not know your name. Over 10 years, with that $600 per month invested instead at 8% returns, you would have accumulated approximately $110,000. That is not a small number. That is a down payment. That is a year of living expenses. That is options. If you do not apply this rule, what happens is simple and specific. You spend your peak earning years, your 30s and 40s, building an image instead of building assets, and you arrive at your 50s with expensive tastes and inadequate savings, and the math at that point becomes genuinely frightening. This brings us to something even more fundamental about the way you respond to money itself. Rule 2. Stop mistaking spending capacity for financial progress. One of the most persistent traps in personal finance is the feeling that being able to afford something is the same as it being a good decision to buy it. The fact that you can afford a $4,000 vacation does not mean that vacation is the highest value use of $4,000 in your life right now. What most people never realize is that your capacity to spend is not a signal of how well you are doing. It is often a lagging indicator of the income you generated and a leading indicator of the wealth you will not accumulate. The mechanism here is called lifestyle inflation, and it is almost automatic. Your income goes up by $1,000 per month, your expenses expand to meet it within 60 to 90 days. The raise feels like progress until you notice that your savings rate is identical to what it was before the raise. You made more money and ended up with the same amount of financial cushion because the spending expanded to absorb the gain. Here is a concrete illustration. Two people both earn $95,000 per year. Person A saves $800 per month and spends the rest on a lifestyle that matches their income. Person B saves $2,200 per month and lives on a lifestyle 30% below their income. After 15 years, assuming 8% average annual investment returns, Person A has saved approximately $277,000. Person B has saved approximately $760,000. Same income, different savings behavior, a difference of nearly $500,000. The person who looked more financially comfortable in year 3 is the person who has dramatically fewer options in year 15. If you never apply this rule, here is what your financial life looks like at 55. Income that was real, spending that was real, and a retirement account that does not reflect either one. The feeling of having lived well will be real. The ability to stop working when you want to will not be. But here's what makes this rule different for you. It's not about deprivation, it's about sequencing. Rule 3. Automate the invisible before you spend the visible. The reason most people fail to save consistently is not a lack of willpower, it's a structural problem in the order of operations. If you wait until the end of the month to save whatever is left over after spending, you will save almost nothing, because spending expands to fill available money with remarkable efficiency. The solution is not discipline. The solution is removing the decision entirely. The principle is called paying yourself first, but that framing undersells the mechanism. What you are actually doing is making your future financial self a non-negotiable line item, the same way your rent is non-negotiable, the way your electricity bill is non-negotiable. When money leaves your account automatically on the day it arrives, it is never available to be spent. You are not fighting a daily battle against temptation, you have restructured the battlefield so the temptation does not arise. A specific implementation. If your paycheck deposits on the 1st and 15th of the month, set an automatic transfer to your investment account or savings account for the 2nd and 16th. Start with an amount that slightly inconveniences you, not so much that it breaks your budget, but enough that you notice it.
If you earn $5,500 per month after tax and you set $700 per month to transfer automatically, you are working with $4,800, not $5,500. That is not a comfortable constraint. But that constraint is building a different future than the one you would build by spending $5,500 and hoping to save whatever remains. If you skip this rule, the cost is invisible for years and then suddenly painfully visible. You will reach a moment, a job loss, a health emergency, a desire to retire, where you need money that you earned but did not keep. And that realization is one of the most specific and avoidable forms of financial pain available to you. Now, once you understand that structure matters more than willpower, the next rule becomes obvious. Rule 4. Measure your wealth in time, not dollars. Here is the reframe that changes how you think about every financial decision permanently. Stop measuring your financial position in terms of how much money you have, and start measuring it in terms of how much time you have bought. Because money, ultimately, is stored time. It is the hours of your life that you converted into currency. And the question is whether you are converting that currency back into future freedom or converting it into present consumption. A concrete way to apply this: every major purchase you consider, calculate its cost in terms of working hours. If you earn $40 per hour after tax, a $2,400 vacation is 60 hours of your life. A $600 phone upgrade is 15 hours. A $35,000 car financed over 6 years at 7% interest costs you approximately $41,000 total, which at $40 per hour is over 1,000 hours of your life. Is that particular car worth 25 full work weeks of your existence? Sometimes the answer is yes, but you should be making that calculation consciously, not unconsciously. The deeper layer is this. When you have accumulated enough invested assets to cover your living expenses indefinitely, the point some people call financial independence, you have effectively purchased all of your future time. Every dollar you invest today is a small fragment of that purchase. Every dollar you spend on status today is a fragment you will not recover. If you never think in these terms, you will reach retirement age with a resume full of jobs and a financial account that does not justify the years of labor it represents, because a significant portion of those years went into looking like someone who was doing well, rather than actually becoming someone who is free. Rule 5. Choose wealth over wealth signals as a philosophy, not a tactic. This final rule is not a specific action. It's a reorientation of the question you're asking yourself when you make financial decisions. Most people ask, can I afford this? The better question is, does this purchase move me toward the life I actually want, or does it move me toward the appearance of that life? The philosophical shift matters because tactics are fragile and philosophy is durable. If you are saving money purely through discipline and sacrifice, you will eventually stop because sacrifice is exhausting. But if you have genuinely internalized a different set of values, if you actually honestly do not derive status from expensive, visible things, then the behavior becomes effortless because you are no longer fighting yourself. The research behind this is documented and consistent. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Financial Planning found that individuals who scored high on what researchers called financial autonomy orientation, the degree to which they based financial decisions on personal values rather than social comparison, accumulated an average of 2.3 times the net worth of demographically identical peers over a 20-year period. The difference was not income, it was not intelligence. It was the source of motivation for financial behavior. If you never make this shift, the cost is not just financial, it's existential. You spend decades chasing a signal that requires constant maintenance, constant upgrading, and constant comparison. And the finish line keeps moving because everyone around you is also upgrading. The person who escapes that race does not escape it through discipline alone. They escape it by genuinely deciding that the race is not the point. This week, you need to do one specific thing this week. Conduct a status audit of your last 30 days of spending. Go through your bank statement and highlight every purchase that was at least partially motivated by how it would look to others or to yourself. You are not judging those purchases, you are simply making them visible.
Most people have never done this exercise because it is mildly uncomfortable, and that discomfort is precisely the data you are looking for. What you will discover is the gap between what you tell yourself your financial priorities are and what your financial behavior actually reveals those priorities to be. This month, you need to automate one savings or investment transfer this month that did not exist before you watched this video. The specific amount matters less than the structure existing. If you currently have no automatic investment contribution, set one up for $50. If you have one, increase it by $150. The act of creating or expanding the automatic transfer is the behavior change, not the amount. The amount scales as your income and confidence grow, but the structure needs to exist before the scale becomes possible. This quarter, you need to establish a personal net worth tracking system this quarter, a simple document or spreadsheet where you record your total assets minus your total liabilities once per month. This is not a budgeting tool. It is a scoreboard for the game you are actually playing. Most people track their spending obsessively and their actual wealth almost never. But spending is not the goal. Net worth growth is the goal. You need to measure what you want to move. If you are not tracking your net worth monthly, you are essentially running a race without looking at the clock, and you will be genuinely surprised in the wrong direction when you finally do check. This year, you need to define in writing what financial independence actually means to you personally, a specific number, a specific timeline, and a specific life it would enable. Not a vague sense that you want to be comfortable or secure. A concrete answer. I want X dollars in invested assets by age Y so that I can Z. Until you have that number written down and reviewed regularly, every financial decision you make is navigating without a destination. The people who accumulate real wealth are almost universally people who decided specifically what they were building and made their daily decisions in reference to that specification. Remember the person at the restaurant, the one with the $320 bottle of wine, the designer watch, and the car payment that rivals a mortgage? Here is what you now understand that you did not understand at the beginning of this video. That person is not the benchmark. That person is the cautionary tale. The visible life they are building is real. The financial life underneath it may be fragile, leveraged, and one unexpected event away from unraveling. And here is the honest question you now have to sit with. Which cycle are you currently in? The virtuous cycle works like this. You spend below your income, you invest the difference, your net worth grows, your financial confidence increases, the pressure to signal status through spending decreases, and your ability to save more becomes easier. Success compounds. The destructive cycle works like this. You spend to match your image of success, the spending leaves less to invest, your financial cushion stays thin, financial anxiety increases, that anxiety drives you toward more visible signals of stability, and your spending stays high even as your actual security stays low. Failure compounds. The research on this is not theoretical. A 2021 Federal Reserve study found that 40% of American adults could not cover an unexpected $400 expense from savings without borrowing or selling something. This is not a study of low-income households. It is a study of the full income spectrum, people who earn real money, who have real jobs, and who are one car repair away from financial stress because the money that came in went out in a direction that felt like success but was not building security. You now understand the wealth signal inversion. You understand that the most visible financial lives are often the most fragile, and that the most durable financial lives are often the most invisible. And the question this leaves you with is not a tactical one, it's a philosophical one. What do you actually want your life to be about? And are the financial choices you are making today building toward that answer?